Psalm 18 is a powerful passage, speaking of being overwhelmed by enemies, and then God swooping in to save us from a hopeless situation. Some of the language used to paint a picture I really have resonated with in my past, especially with stuff like mental health, depression, sometimes anxiety. Some of the descriptions of the enemies attacking, sort of ropes of death entangling me, floods of destruction swept over me, the grave wrapping its ropes around, death laying a trap, our enemies hating us and being too strong for us, and attacking us in our times of distress. Those sort of pictures I've really felt sometimes. I've really felt like I've been attacked when I'm on my lowest and defenceless. I feel like I've been entangled in sin sometimes, and I just want to give you sort of 30 seconds now, pause the video and think about what sort of things are you struggling with, what is entangling you, what's overwhelming you. Do any of those pictures painted in Psalm 18 of enemies resonate with you, and if so, what are your enemies at the moment? I've definitely felt myself in the past with stuff that I'm struggling with feeling like I'm ensnared or trapped by the enemies around me, that I get stuck in a pit of despair where I don't see a way out, and I feel hopeless in my situation, and I'm sure that you have felt the same with the things that you've just thought of in that time. And it's a tactic of the enemy, because we read on in the Psalms after the person that wrote the Psalm says he called out to the Lord. We read on and hear this amazing description of God coming down in all of his power and fire and burning coals and smoke and flaming arrows and everything that's described there. This amazing description of his power coming to rescue us and to save us from the enemies that we're facing. And that's a powerful image, and it's really scary. It's quite a terrifying image, but that's what our enemies are up against. That's what they're fighting against, and there's no chance of survival against something like that. There's no fight to be had there. It's such a powerful image that nothing could defeat against that. It scatters the enemies, it says, and I think that it's a tactic to cover our eyes, to make us feel in a place of despair or hopelessness, so that we don't turn to God, we don't turn to that thing that can defeat them, that can overcome what's attacking us, is because we don't have the strength ourselves. We have to rely on God. We have to turn to him in our times of need, because he's the one thing that can save us. It's often the hardest thing is to ask for help, I found, even if it is from God, even if it is from this powerful image that's described in the Psalm 18. But I found this verse in James has been really helpful. Some versions say humble yourself to the Lord, but this one, get down on your knees before the Master. It's the only way you'll get on your feet. I've just found it a really helpful picture of we can't do this alone. We can't have this fight alone. We won't win this fight if we're on our own against our enemies. We are not strong enough, but we have to push into God. We have to rely on him in everything, and it's scary because it's not something we can do. It's not something we can control. It's not something we can win, but it's also a relief because it's not a battle we have to fight on our own, but something we have to ask for help on. And whether you've gotten this pit of despair from your own doing, from living in sin or making the wrong decisions, or whether you feel like you've been dropped in it from your circumstances, the solution is the same: to turn to God, to run to Him in your time of need, and let Him fight the battles alongside you.